Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Sportsfellas.
Let's get it.
It's your Buckeye believing. Who they hopeful? Captain Chris with a K.
Everett.
Emerging from the black hole, representing Raider Nation, Big Don.
The last Don. This is your Rocky Mountain High, Roll Tide, Hook'em, Horn, Mullen, Penn State, and last but not least, the true, authentic Tomahawk Chop, Seminole Nation, Florida State fan. Carlos in the house. You guys, today we're going to talk about the NFC West. Also, we're going to do our giveaway to Superstar Sports, our Rally House. Also, do not forget we will do our Silver Cosmo movie review classic, and that is Alien. So if you guys have not seen that movie yet, check it out. Also, we're going to give away those 2 tickets for that, so stay tuned on that. Before we dive in, let's go ahead and take a quick pause and thank our following sponsors.
Hey guys, why don't you check out She Barber Cuts Barbershop and give Markeisha Brown, the licensed professional barber there, a call at 316-218-3566 for all your haircut needs. She's got cuts for kids, adults, and for those looking for the good one, the deluxe with beard trims, wash, and hot towels. So don't forget to give Markeisha a call at She Barber Cuts and see her at 2319 North Ridge, Barber Suite 6A here in Wichita, Kansas.
All right, we're bringing back the episode Chuck's Dugout. Chris, in the American League, we're going to do is just wrap them up in holes here. Yeah. We have the Orioles, the Yankees are both tied, the Guardians, Twins, Astros, and Mariners. It does not mean that your other team is not in. It's just right now they have the better record. Moving on over to the national side, we have the Phillies, Braves, Brewers, Cardinals, Dodgers, and the Diamondbacks. Okay, let's go ahead and take a quick pause and thank our following sponsors.
Well, I don't know about you folks, but here at Sportsfellas, things can get, well, a nice right funk going on sometimes. And in that time of need, we turn to our friend Kimberly Sampson, our own personal Cincy independent consultant. She is our favorite star consultant, so for your scent needs, get a hold of Kimberly at heavenlyscentswithkim@gmail.com or visit her website, heavenlyscentswithkim.cincy.us. You can also call her at 316-282-7363. That's Kimberly Sampson at Cincy, our favorite independent consultant.
Here we are with the NFC West. Could be known as the best division in the conference. Chris, I'm going to kick it off with you. We have the Arizona Cardinals. They were 4-13.
Yep.
Didn't do much last year. Let's go ahead and talk about the Arizona Cardinals.
Well, I think everyone kind of knew going into last year there wasn't a lot. Kyler Murray was still working on his rehab, so they knew he was going to be out for an extended part to start the season. Did come back, got a few things under their belt, couple wins, nice win against Pittsburgh. Loved that week last year. Had some nice additions. Of course, the big one, Marvin Harrison Jr., best wide receiver in the draft this last year. Potential game wrecker there. So it'll be interesting to see if Murray can get him the ball because he's going to be able to get open and catch it if it gets out there. So I'm curious to see what happens. Last year was kind of a wash year. They knew it going in. I think they've done a little more this year to shore things up. It's second season in this coaching system. I don't see a lot of pressure on them this year. So I think, if they just go out and kind of play with a recluse abandon, there's a lot of young kids there that have come in this last year or so that are just trying to make a way. So they could make a little hay. I don't see anything more than maybe, high end. They make it into the, second spot of this division. I kind of have them duking it out 3-4, somewhere in there. But I do see a little bit better of a season than they had last year with just the 4 wins.
Yeah, I agree with you. I just see them improving based on the way they performed the last few years. But I think in this division, they could possibly fight for second in the division with, overtake the Rams. But I'm not sure just yet because the Rams right now still have, better firepower. But Kyler Murray, he's going to be on a mission this year to try to prove something, with the weapons he's got. And I'm not sure how well their defense is, but offensive line, I can't see why they shouldn't succeed, throughout the season.
Yeah, I'd say they're really I think they're trying to come back from a few seasons of not great. I think they're just trying to mostly rebuild their roster after not doing so great. They've got good rookies this year. They've got Harrison Jr. and then plus Kyler Murray. That's going to be a pretty good combo, but they're not going to do, I think, that much over like playoffs.
And and I agree with you, Everett, and I'm gonna tell you why. The thing is that Arizona has to focus on rebuilding the foundation. And right now in the offseason, they picked up Zay Jones. He was producing well in Jacksonville, but they let him go. And so now with Marvin Harrison Jr. onto the other end, we know he's going to be the answer. I think him and Kyle Murray are going to be a dynamic duo. They're just going to need more help. And it's just the problem is in this stage of the game right now, Arizona's going to have growing pains. And I'm telling you right now, we're in a division where you got 3 other teams that are much better than you, and it's just going to take a rebuilding process. Moving on over to the West Coast, we are talking about the Los Angeles Rams. The Los Angeles Rams last year was 10-7 last year. They made the wild card, but in a surprising loss to the Detroit Lions. Don, what's your take on the Rams this year?
Well, they seem kind of basically the same team this year, but just they got the 2 outside weapons with Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua, and Matthew Stafford. He's going through slight health issues here in the offseason, but I don't see them doing any thing more fantastic than what they did last year because they lost Aaron Donald on the defensive side. So I don't know if they're going to have much of a pass rush, and we're going to expect Puka and Cooper to get their yards. So it's just a matter of can Matthew Stafford stay healthy this year to keep them at least the same record and maybe a win or 2 better.
Yeah, I'm really curious. I think they're going to be okay offensively. A lot of experience in that room with Stafford, assuming he stays healthy. And I think they signed Garoppolo to back him up, knowing that he's getting old. So they have a couple of oft-injured quarterbacks, so hopefully they can get some play. But I think either of those guys would be okay as long as Kupp. It's going to be fun to see Kupp and Nacua with a full healthy year. I think that's going to be fun. Hopefully they can stay that way. But, Don, I'm with you. I've got a lot of questions on that defensive side. Obviously, how you can't replace Aaron Donald. No. That's just an impossibility. He's Aaron Donald. But they also lost a safety. They lost a cornerback as well. So it's going to be curious. They also are changing over their defense. They changed defensive coordinators too. So this is going to be interesting to see. I think it's always seemed like defense, there's not quite as much terminology. There's not as many plays to learn. But to really get in that system can take almost half a year, it feels like, to really for all the players to be able to communicate and really knowing what the guys next to them are doing. So I kind of think that we're going to see the Rams maybe regress a little bit. I think this is where one of the teams that Arizona has a chance to combat with in that second, third area. So I think that they're going to back off a little. I kind of have the Rams missing the playoffs this year.
Yeah, they're not going to, pretty much agreeing with them. Their defense is losing. Their offense, it's mostly the same as last year, other than they got a better backup QB for if Matt Stafford gets hurt. They're going to probably be lighting it up with Cooper Kupp and Nacua, but without a good defense to back it up on the defensive side, there's not much there.
I'm going to go forward on the offensive side. I'm looking at the running back position in Kyrie Williams. And overall is Matthew Stafford. If he's going to have that person he can check, because we know already Cooper Kupp and Nacua is going to be covered. We know that. And Higbee, the tight end as well, going to get his reps in as well. But on the defensive side, you're looking at a new scheme, as was mentioned, and also replacing that front and defensive line. Because this is going to be different now. The pace has changed because we know already that their arch rivals, the 49ers, has already set the tone for them already. So going in here, Matthew Stafford, his time is ticking. We know they're going to open up. Believe they open up Sunday night. They're going to Detroit to play his former team, the Detroit Lions. So their schedule is going to be, here we go. And like I said, the team that we're going to talk about next is no pushover either. But for the Rams, they're just going to need consistent wins. And if I'm not mistaken, I think in the month of October, they're at home. So that's a plus. Now, one thing I will address is the Rams, they need to capitalize on some wins to make even in the playoffs, because we know they are a playoff team. But right now, the next step up, we already know they've won a Super Bowl. under Sean McVay so far. That's their first, 1 out of 2. But the next step up is that they have to go progress further. I still believe they would have gone further in the playoffs. That game against the Lions, they had them against the wall, is just one of those things that Jared Goff did a great job and just leading that team over. So we will talk about the NFC North on the next episode. Let's go ahead and move on over to the last but not least, way west. The Seattle Seahawks. I need to find a theme for them. I haven't thought of one yet, but we're going to find one for them. Last year, they were 9-8. They were above 500, but they didn't make the playoffs. So, Chris, I'll kick it off with you. How do you see Seattle playing out this year?
Big rebuild this year. They started hot. Well, really hit the season, the floor running. Was a really fun story for the first half of the year. Then they went through that kind of lull in the middle. Started off 6-3 last year, finished 9-8. So obviously the second half of that year wasn't quite as fun as the first half for Seahawks fans. And because of that, I mean, there had already been some push by the Schneiders trying to get Pete out of office there. So with the failure season, not making the playoffs, they were able to be like, yeah, you're okay, you're gone now. And so we've got a new a new head coach, obviously a whole coaching staff, new quarterback, Sam Howell. That's going to be interesting. Curious to see how he does with some good targets. I mean, you still have Metcalf. I think Lockett's still there, right? He didn't get. So that'll be interesting. I think a little bit more talent around Howell than he had in Washington last year. I still don't see them doing anything. To me, they're going to be fighting in that 3-4 range. I think there's going to be a little drop off from last year. Probably an unexpected win some point in time through the season. Maybe they take down the Niners at home or you know what I mean, like something weird like that might happen. Aside from that, I mean they're going to be looking for probably a new quarterback next year at the top of the draft.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you because right now I can see them maybe doing the same record, if not a couple games worse. Because, like you said, with the whole changeover, offensively I think they can move the ball okay, but defensively, I just don't have a clue how well they're going to perform because, they give up a lot, yardage. So, as for right now, it's like between Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf and Smith and Jigba, I'm always struggling saying that name. They'll be the ones to help try to carry that offense, and then the run game with Kenneth Walker the third. As long as he can get the running game going, the pass game should be okay. But as far as defensively, still a lot of questions.
Yeah, really, it's like my dad said. It's going to be just a rebuilding year. New head coach, new QB. I mean, he's got better weapons for sure. He did fairly decently with the wide receivers and running back he had over in Washington, but Sam Howell's not got a lot. I mean, he's got better to work with, but he's just not the best of QBs that you can get. I mean, probably worse than Drew Lock. And then new head coach, and then they lost a few safeties in there, Diggs and Jamal Adams. It's just a full rebuilding year.
Those are some good points, and that's what I wanted to touch up on, Everett, was on the defensive side. And Don mentioned already, it's just last year they gave up so much on the run. They were getting torched in the air as well. And the thing is, Seattle needs to ramp up because they're at a great advantage right now, especially with the picks that they were able to accumulate from that Denver trade with Russell Wilson. So it's a new day there in Seattle. All they need to do is just focus on getting the structure going. Hopefully they wear those throwbacks. Those throwbacks were pretty nice looking. That was kind of a nostalgic moment there. They almost beat the Cowboys last year. They were so close. But the thing is, DK Metcalf and Lockett, they're getting older, and it's just that they need to start getting going. And Noah Fant, I'd like to see him get some more progression in, because I mean, especially that safety buffer for Geno Smith or Howell, whoever becomes the starter. Those tight end positions do come in handy. All right. We leave the last but not least to the gold rush in the San Francisco 49ers, Chris's inner child favorite team. He doesn't say it publicly, but I know. I just know.
It was the 80s.
I know. Well, they were 12-5. They won the NFC West. They've won the division, and they defeated the Packers in the divisional round and made it to the NFC Championship, where they defeated the Detroit Lions coming from behind, and an unfortunate overtime loss to the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs Kingdom over here. I know if Driz is here, he'd already be saying some stuff. So, Don, I'm going to kick it off with you. How do you see San Francisco doing this year?
Well, I feel they're going to win the division this year. Question is, offensively, with Brandon Ayuk not coming back, or is there a possibility of coming back? How will that affect their pass game? Christian McCaffrey, he's still going to do his thing. Him and Brock Purdy, and then Deebo Samuel is going to do his thing, but and of course Kittle. It's just that how's their offense going to be affected to getting everybody else open without Brandon Ayuk there? Defensively wise, I think they're still still the same defense. They're going to shut a lot of people down and do their thing. It's just that I'm just worried that they should still win the division, but I'm just worried without Brandon Ayuk if he doesn't come back. How's that going to affect, getting the ball open for, Deebo Samuels or the new rookie receiver that they drafted?
I'm not so, because Kyle Shanahan is just such a genius when it comes to moving pieces in an offense. I'm not, honestly, for one thing, I think Ayuk's going to probably wind up signing. They've passed on some trades and different deals that they've tried to get him set up with. I have a feeling he's going to sign here before the season starts, or he'll just play on his last season and get a big going away, a big free agent next year. My concern's a little bit more with the defense. They've got, for the second year in a row, a new defensive coordinator. Not that that's weird on Kyle Shanahan's staff. Like, he rolls through defensive coordinators, just chews them up and spits them out. Most of the time they're getting promoted. Let's be fair. Yeah. Look at whatchamacallit for Texans, D'Amico, Ryans. Obviously great coordinator. Got him and now a great head coach. But I'm curious about that. They lost some of those pieces that they traded for early last season. Chase Young, Randy Gregory, they're on the line. So I think that's going to have a little effect. Of course, Bosa's still there. But sometimes he's limited. Depends on his season. He's getting a little older, not available every game. They lost Gibson, their safety, so it's a little bit. And another new defensive coordinator just a year later after last year. They really got to figure out a way to stop. Look at what Baltimore did to him. Cincinnati put points up on him. When they got beat last year, they got beat pretty bad in most of those instances, those losses that they had. So. I think there's a little bit of a look to try to shut down the defense. So I think that's going to be the main thing. Are they going to win this division? It's their division to lose. Let's be honest. It's there's maybe somehow something crazy happens in Arizona or LA. It wouldn't put it past LA maybe if their defense is settled in well, but this is the Niners. We'll just have to see how far if they can make it all the way this year or not.
Yeah, on paper, this is probably one of the strongest, if not the strongest teams in the NFL. You've got a pretty well-rounded D-line, pretty well-rounded linebackers, and then pretty good cornerbacks. And then on the offense, you've got one of the best O-lines, and then probably the best running back, at least according to the fantasy draft. Really, they're not really losing a lot or gaining a lot on either side, other than Brandon Ayuk he's a bit iffy right now, but they're looking pretty close to the same. I think they're going to make it pretty far again.
See, in the NFC, we know already San Francisco is going to be the cream of the crop, and the only team that I feel in the conference they might be concerned, the only team I can think of is either a rematch with Detroit Lions if they come out punching already early, or the Philadelphia Eagles. One of the two. And for the division, I feel they got this. The Rams might give them a hard time because the Rams have their number as well. Seattle once in a while can give them a hard time, but let's go back a little bit with Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy he has a great games and able to cash in on that, he's going to get paid. And that's going to be another problem because he's going to want his pay. And right now you have aging wide receivers. Now, don't get me wrong.
Well, and Purdy, not the fact that he wasn't a first rounder, they don't have that 5th-year extension they can automatically put on him.
Right.
Like he was a 7th rounder, right? He was last guy.
irrelevant.
So that he's got one more year. This is his 3rd year. He's going to want. They're going to either pay him next year or he's holding out and getting a major contract. You're right
Indeed.
on that.
And so back to what I was telling you about Deebo Samuel. Deebo Samuel's getting older. And the problem is that in the Super Bowl, when you go back and look at the Super Bowl, don't get me wrong, that was a great matchup they had, but Kansas City seemed more invigorated. They had schemes that were able to just keep them on, and then the defense got gassed. They were tired. Yeah. And the problem is it's just, whoever was going to win. And don't get me wrong, Christian McCaffrey had a great Super Bowl game. I mean, he had that one fumble, came back. But the thing is that if San Francisco's going to want to get back in the Super Bowl, they're going to have to figure, especially if you have to play the Chiefs again. The Chiefs already know the scheme. I feel like Andy Reid knows how to play against Kyle Shanahan. It's like, okay, I got this guy figured out. But for the 49ers, this is a new season, so all the 49er fans, don't get upset. We don't need to reminisce the past. Let's focus on a new 24-25 season. You guys need to start, when you start playing teams that are above 500, whether in the conference or the other side of the conference in the AFC, you guys got to start doing something, because that Baltimore game, that was it Monday night game, Baltimore just it's not even funny. Those crows came out like the Sons of Anarchy.
They better figure out to sign Trent Green.
Oh yeah, definitely. You guys, that wraps up the NFC West. Let's go ahead and take a quick pause and take our following sponsors.
With spring here and all the storms on their way, you need to make sure you have the proper home, auto, and all your properties insured. We here at Razor Cut Information just can't get enough of our favorite insurance man, Ernie Ruelas. Please visit Ernie and his State Farm agency at 11330 East Central Avenue, Suite 400, Wichita, Kansas, 316-682-2300. Thank you so much, Ernie.
All right, guys, we have the AFC West, the NFC North, and the NFC East left. So we're going to get those in before the season starts. Stay tuned to our shows as well at TikTok, Instagram, and on Facebook as well. And then after you get a snip clip of what we've talked about, then follow us over on YouTube to get the full link to the show. Thank you guys as always. Any shout-outs before we go?
Just a big shout-out to all the fans out there. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, shout out to you guys, and then a shout out to my buddy Landon. Last night we were talking it up about football. I didn't even realize we had a podcast now, but I think he somehow got me prepared.
Hey, give a shout out to all the Raider fans listening here, and we got a game tonight, and all the fellas here that we just get together and just talk sports.
Yeah, always shout out to the people that don't get enough recognition, and we're always thankful. So thankful to our friends Eric and Powell and Dalen. Thank you guys so much for doing what you guys do, and also you guys as always making this fun, and also to our audience. Like I said before, this is a home base. We don't sell out. We're not commercialized. We're just a group of guys that get together, and the gals as well whenever they want to come, and we just talk sports. And you guys, I couldn't do it without you guys. Also, shout out to our friends Marie and her family out there in the Bay Area. Well, more Southern Cal. I just know that there was a recent loss in the family, so our hearts go out to you, my friend Marie. Thank you for tuning into the show as well, and then also to our friends and family. So until then, we'll talk. We're out.